the trade, use, abuse of illicit alcohol as well as psychotropic substances and drugs. This is a problem that is likely to impair Kenya's future in a big way unless it is addressed. Your Excellency, I want to assure you and the country that at the Ministry of Interior, having profiled the problem of alcohol and drug abuse as part of the top 3 national security threats, we will support the national effort to tackle this problem with the same vigor, commitment, focus, and finality that we are continuing to apply in the other 2 threats which I've identified, which is the fight against terror and the fight against bandits attacks. I know I have had discussions with elected leaders from this region, and they have said they would want all of us in the ministry, the same way we have waged a sustained war on bandits, to also come and camp here and other parts of the country that are affected and wage a similar, if not more vicious war against the terror of drug and substance abuse. I know, Your Excellency, in your opening remarks, you did highlight and point out the complexity of this matter. And you carefully advised all of us to be candid because the matter is complex. We cannot come here and pretend. And I think for us to resolve this matter and address it with finality, we must be open to each other and tell each other the truth as a country, because this is about our country. It's not about another country. It's about us. It's about our families, our children, and our future.
Kwa hivyo wakati wanashika kule na kuachilia, hiyo ni shida yao. Na kila mtu atabeba msalaba wake. I'm not threatening anybody. Because we must, mimi CS wangu waja niuliza kitu. Hako hapa. Hakuna siku ameuliza kitu. His Excellency amenipatia uhuru wa kufanya kazi. And maofisa wenzangu, mimi nitasema mbele ya umati, mko na serikali ambayo inawasikiza. Mlikuwa mmenyang'anywa kwa mambo ya licensing ya bunduki, civilian firearm licensing. His Excellency amewarudishia. Yule sawa na license ni ofisa mwenzenu. Jana tu Coast Guard ilikuwa na commanded na retired military officers. Jana tu His Excellency appoint a police officer asimamie awe Director General wa Coast Guard. Juzi tu bilioni 20 zimetolewa, mnapata vifaa, bunduki nzuri, ndege za kupigana na wakora wa North Rift. What am I saying? There is a lot of goodwill from the government. Mshahara unatengenezwa. Na mimi najua wakati His Excellency anafunga hiki kikao, mimi najua haya tataja tu. Mambo ya haya tataja, very soon mfuko utakuwa mzuri and you'll be running to the bank kwenda kuweka kitu. So serikali inaangalia maslahi ya maofisa. Ours, we have a responsibility to give back by serving wananchi wetu watukufu.
In trafficking, we're talking about trafficking in hard substances, that is heroin, cannabis sativa, and other prohibited drugs. You can see in 2021, we had 981, but a significant increase in 2022. And right now, we're at 475, up to March. We have not concluded the year. Related to abuse of drugs and alcohol, we've had cases of arson where people go burning houses for no reason. They burn their parents' houses. These are the young boys and burning their houses of parents after a disagreement because of consumption of alcohol and drugs. Your Excellency, we need to address that issue. And I'm glad you've got our political leaders so they can see the effect. Illicit brews, those were cases reported. There was significant reduction, but it is increasing. Now we are at 168 as at March.
It also goes back to lack of patriotism. And perhaps in some instances, greed to make a quick buck. Why? In looking at the cost of excise in our country, or rather cost of excise in the region, Tanzania, our neighbors, the excise on ethanol is actually zero. So there's actually no excise on ethanol. Ethanol, which is the core ingredient that is used to manufacture alcohol. Across, on the other side, Uganda, it is about 79 shillings per liter, plus or minus. If you look in Kenya, it is about 356 shillings per liter. Your Excellency, that starts by saying that just by the realization that we know that the underlying ingredient is costly, you have people bringing the illicit one across the country or from across the borders and using it, and of course, even adulterating it and creating something that is more lethal. As it is now, we are working with the National Treasury to just find a way and a break-even point on the matter of excise, because as the majority leader rightly said, that an increase in taxes is not necessarily, an increase, in excise does not necessarily end up with increase in revenues.
One of the proposals that I would make from where I sit, Your Excellency, is we understand the independence of the judiciary, but the judiciary is part of our society. They are also parents, and they also live in our communities. An engagement, a multi-sectoral engagement, where they see the statistics and understand the challenges of where we are coming from as the leadership, it would go a long way to help us. Your Excellency, we agree on the issue of the partnership between the national and the county, and adjusting our committee, especially on licensing. I think the critical issue of licensing, Your Excellency, must be looked at. We are the ones licensing, but we would embrace that joint licensing regime, because when we don't license, for example, in my county, they go and get support from other leaders. And those leaders put pressure on us on the issue of licensing. Then the issue of limiting the number of bars is going to be very tricky. But if a decision must be taken, Your Excellency, I think we should take a bold decision. How many bars, for example, should there be in Kagio, which only has 5,000 people? There should be a limit. Not every other shop should be a bar. Not every other shop should be a bar and restaurant. Not every restaurant should also be a bar and restaurant. And I think this will also help us quite a bit. Your Excellency, there are some places we should not even negotiate. Next to schools, Your Excellency, we should not have any bar or any drinking institution next, any drinking joint next to a learning institution.
There are hard decisions that we must make. And that we will not do with just KRA, we will not do by pointing fingers at our administrators and our police who will in turn, as I was saying in the holding room, Your Excellency, the police will point fingers at the judiciary will point fingers at the county governments, and for those of us who are members of parliament and MCAs, we will point fingers at everybody. But that does not give us a solution. And therefore, I want to pray, Your Excellency, that these forums will come up with tangible and long-term solutions to the problem that bedevils not just our region, but our country. Your Excellency, I just want to conclude by saying from the National Assembly and Parliament, we shall do and endeavor to do whatever it will take. If there are laws that we need to change, it will not take us more than 3 weeks to do public participation and push those bills or amendments that we need to do. Because we must rescue, as you said, Your Excellency, a generation of young people that is going to waste. In another 10 to 15 years, this region will not have any productive young people.